Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Find the Link Parenting Session 5. We've had an amazing time from the start of the series. We've had 4 amazing topics. We started with preparing for parenthood, new parents, parenting styles, and intentional parenting, which was last week. You're all welcome. Lovely to see you here early. I've seen our speakers. I've seen at least 2 of them. So that is amazing. I would like to share my slides shortly. Okay. Okay, so Find the Link Parenting. We're empowering parents, we're raising change makers, we're getting better as parents, and we're having better and stronger children by the grace of God. Session 5, dealing with teenagers, is the topic for today. The aim of the series is to enlighten, empower, inspire, and give. We've had a series of 10 weeks about relationships last year. If you missed it, it's on the YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out or share. Who are the teenagers? They're a unique set of people. Most of the time would probably be between the ages of 13 to 18. Or if we're going by dictionary meaning, probably be children just hitting puberty and up to early adulthood. They're unique, they're inquiring, they're easily misunderstood. They're usually searching for meaning, for purpose. Most of the time, they can be quite hungry for validation. That's all I'm saying about it. I'm sure the speakers are going to unpack it in a bit more detail. And we have our speakers today, Mr. Uwem Achibong, Dr. Ronke Ogundiro, and Mrs. Adebusola Oyemrinde. Okay, so next on Find the Link Parenting, we're going to be having missed parenthood, dealing with loss. We're going to have 2 speakers on that session. And then we're going to have parenting and physical health, parenting and mental health. We're going to have one about safeguarding children. We're going to have one about supporting parents, and it's going to be great. We have 7 more in this series. The next 4 after those are going to be in-house. Our slogan for the parenting series is, I and the children God has given me, we are for signs and wonders. And we say that at the end of every meeting. If you are not muted, please mute yourself. Thank you. We have replays on YouTube, so do check TikTok by Praising Child, follow Twitter, Praising Child, Instagram, The Praising Child, Facebook page, Living Your Dreams with The Praising Child. There's no group there, but you can like the page, and that'll be great, and feel free to share. And that's my personal Facebook page as well. I'll start with Mr. Uwem. He's the administrator of a children's church that hosts an average weekly attendance of over 5,000 children and teens. He's also the author of a book that is titled The Future is Now, and it's related to the youth. He has a passion to influence young people to live by the dictates and standards of God's word. He's a seasoned mathematics teacher for high school students, a fitness enthusiast, and he knows how to cook. He resides and works in Lagos, Nigeria, and that is the short version. He's an amazing person. Happy to have you on our series today. We have Dr. Ronke Ogundiro. She's a general practitioner and a member of the Royal College of General Practitioners in the United Kingdom. She's based in Manchester with her husband and children. She works in the local church, mentoring teenagers and youths, and in a leadership role, and in various aspects of their lives. She works as a clinical lead, and she has special interest in diabetes, children's health, and runs a program on the special scheme. Her ultimate passion is to inspire youth through public speaking to the best versions of themselves. Happy to have you with us, Dr. Ogundiro. Okay, and we have Mrs. Adebusola Uyeride, who is a dear sister. She is a practical lady, mother of a wonderful teacher called, I said wonderful teacher, mother of a wonderful teenager called Wanda. She's a wife to a clergyman. She works in the financial sector where she's worked for many decades. And she's blessed with the practical experience of bringing up her daughter. And she's going to be sharing that with us today. So we're looking forward to a really great time. So I will just unpin the rest of us and we'll let Mr. Uwem Achibong start. And we'll go to Dr. Ogudera and we'll round up with Sister Adebusola. I call her Sister Adebusola. So welcome, Uwem. Over to you. Would you like me to share the slides from my end?
Thank you.
Yes. Would you like me to share the slides from my end?
Please go ahead.
Okay, I would.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. All righty.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. And thanks to the Praising Child for this opportunity. My heart overflows with gratitude. Thanks. So today, dealing with teenagers, I'll just be talking about my personal experience, which has been, notable. I've grown with young people all my life, ever since, even when myself, I was a youth. So I'll just give us a brief of that experience and the things I've learned, hanging out with teenagers, and a bit of advice in dealing with them, so that they can actually attain the purposes for which God has created them. Is the slide up?
Awesome. I was just waiting for you to finish speaking and watch your face glowing. All right. So the slide is up now.
Okay. So dealing with teenagers. This is happening on Find the Link Parenting. It's a brief presentation on my journey experience in dealing with teenagers. Okay, so I start with the definition first and foremost. This is a hybrid definition. Yeah, there are so many definitions, but I picked stuff from different places and I made up my own. And this is interesting for me because of one keyword inside there, and I've highlighted. So it says that a teenager is anyone within life's transition period between childhood and adulthood. Mark that word, transition, very, very critical. Transition period between childhood and adulthood. In other words, they are no longer children, and also they are not adults, you understand? So that creates, a little dilemma for them and for people they are dealing with. So we have to always bear that in mind while dealing with teenagers. So I'm going to take how my journey started. From childhood, I've always hung around young people. I have elder siblings, so I happened to grow with them, with their children and all that. It had been a wonderful experience. So just a part of the total experience is, I think my commissioning into children's or young people's ministry happened during my service here. So I, by then, had given my life to Christ. I was this passionate young man and all that. It was sometime in my 20s. And I was posted to somewhere in the Middle Belt. And I was just excited. I was, my slogan back then was, wherever you send me to, Lord, I will go. I'm passionate. I'm saving people. I'm going to move people from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of God's light. So we got into camp. Camp was interesting, lovely. I got to meet new people and all that. And after the 3 weeks, I now got my letter of posting, and I was like, wow, anywhere, Lord, anywhere, Lord, you send me, I'm going. So all my other copper mates started leaving to their different places and all that. So I started making inquiries, and I found out, me and one other copper were sent to the same place. So we came together and we started finding out, from the youth copper people, youth service office officials, how do we get to the place? They now told us that that getting to that place, so first and foremost, there are no cars that go there. There is only one car that takes people, to that place once in a week. So by the time I heard that, I was like, it was strange. So anyway, that if you want to get there, that there are bikes, and they can secure a bike, to take us there. So we finally got a bike, and we started going. So we were just curious. We were asking the bike man. The guy just said, no problem, we'll get there very soon, They just say those things to encourage coppers. So we got on this bike journey, and the bike journey was over an hour. Into, very rugged road. No, it wasn't hard, uphill and down, valleys and all that. So we went on that journey. It was over an hour. I think that it was about an hour, 10 to 15 minutes. We finally got there. When I was traveling through that journey from the camp to that place of primary assignment, the thoughts that ran through my mind was, you're not just traveling through space, you're traveling back in time, because it reminded me of my mom's village when my parents took us there when we were still young and all that. And this was over 20 years, back and all that. And by this time, my mom's village had become a city center. You understand? But me going to this place, I was shocked that there was still a place like that in Nigeria. You understand? So we went on that journey. When we finally got to the place, the greatest shocker was, everybody was excited. Children came out on the streets. They were running. They saw us with the copper uniform. They were shouting, copper, 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 copper. And for me, it was interesting. But what really blew my mind was a good number of the children, they were naked and all that, running on the road and shouting, copper. I was shocked that, oh Lord, I was shocked that there was still a place like that in Nigeria. Sorry, my power supply just failed, but okay. I'm going to see what I can do soon. So
I'll still see you. It's fine.
So I was shocked that. Okay, I was shocked that there was still a place like that in Nigeria. So they took us to the principal's house, and the only thought that came to my mind was, please, sir, reject me. Me that was so passionate in camp and all that, I'm coming to serve Nigeria. I'm coming to, do a lot. The only thought on my mind was, please reject me. I can't imagine spending the next 1 year of my life over here. The man now calmly, they made us food, we ate and all that. He said, he's not going to reject us. So that they have just one school, one secondary school, and they are, short of teachers. There are just about 4 of them, and the children are going to be taking SSC very soon. And that is God that sent us here. That is not going to reject us, so that will come and help them and all that and all that and all that. So that's where the journey began. So from there, the man accepted us and all that. So we left. I think you come back to your district before you go back. So we left. I came back to Lagos. I was with my sister back then in Lagos. I got back to Lagos. I told the story. I was like, man, I'm not going back there. I am not going back there. So interestingly, in Lagos, I got back. As I got back, I knew some copper friends in Lagos. I followed them and I had a job. I got a job in a bank in Lagos. And it happened so swiftly, so everything. But after working for a while, the people in Lagos were saying, you're not a copper in Lagos, so you have to redeploy. You have to redeploy and come back to Lagos. You understand? We have to redeploy to Lagos before we can fully retain you as one of ours. You understand? And I now went on that journey. That journey took me about 2 months or so and all that. And after that, it wasn't just adding up. This one will tell me, oh, I know this person in NYSC, in Abuja. I even went to Abuja. It was all a journey in futility. So nothing worked. And then sometime during that period, I slept and I had a dream. And in my dream, I saw myself going back to that village. I saw myself being welcomed back and all that. And as I woke up, I just had peace of mind. And somebody told me, you're going back there. You're going back there. You understand? And I thought about it. I thought long and hard. But just welcoming that thought, I had peace of mind. So after a while, I think about a week or 2 weeks max, I packed my bag. I told the bank I'm leaving and all that. And I'm heading back to the place. And, there was one of the people in the bank. He was quite an encouraging man. He told me no problem, that he believes that God is sending me somewhere and all that. And that's how I went back to the place. I got back there, having the kind of experience I had, I just made up my mind. I'm going to give my best. I'm going to be the best I can possibly be throughout that period. So I took it upon myself. While I was in the bank, I would wake up 5:30, I'm out of the house and all that, and I'll go, to the office. So the same, mindset, I applied it to the school. I will wake up early. Before now, the students hardly, show up in school. They were living in an agrarian culture. They don't have role models, of people that have succeeded through education. Their parents hardly have gone beyond the secondary education, and they never saw a future. So I just decided I'm going to give my best. I'm going to be the best I'm ever going to be with these young people. So I started, teaching them. By the time I went to the class the first day, there were just about 4 of them. And I started teaching. Them. All of a sudden, as the term progressed, the number kept growing. And it grew until towards the end of that very term, the class was full capacity. And it was any day I was teaching them maths and as many other subjects as I could help them with, you understand? And the class capacity kept growing. And whenever I thought there was pin drop silence, and we had a problem of communication. If very few really understood English very well, you understand? But I don't know, it's like they saw my passion, they saw everything, and they were willing to learn. And by the end of the term, we didn't have a problem with communication. They were not, however, speaking very fluently, but we understood ourselves very well. And I taught them. So I stayed with them all through that period until just about when they were going to take their WAEC exam, and I left them before the WAEC exam started. So I left them and all that. Now, a little background to the story. Before now, they have their results in WAEC, you understand, it has been woeful. Very bad. And that is probably why they were so discouraged about academics, about education, about all that. So they'd rather go to their farms than come to school. So I left them, just about when they were doing the SSC and all that. And that's when my NYSC youth service year ended. I got back. And then about a year after, I was passing that way, you understand? And I decided that I will stop over there, just see them before I pass on. I was actually going to Abuja from Lagos. So I decided that I'll stop over there and check on them. On getting there, I heard the most amazing testimony of my life. You understand? It was so encouraging in the sense that over 80% of them had 5 credits or more. You understand? And the previous year, there were less than 20% that had such a grade. You understand? So over 80% had this. And I remember I spoke with some of them just to encourage them back then. I made a promise. I said, anyone that passes his exam and all that and has issues with furthering, okay, I want to buy jam form, I want to buy this, I want that they should call me up. So 2 were courageous enough and they did that. So I bought I bought jam form for like 2 of them, you understand? And these 2, went ahead to further their education. And one, I've kept contact with one even up until now. The other one, hasn't really been in contact. And that one just finished, I think it was from Card Poly. Yeah, it's Card Poly. That one finished about 2 years ago, and I was so impressed. So that has been my story in a nutshell. So from there, I would go further, to say what my lessons have been, with teens. Now, this is just my story concerning, my youth service here. From then, by the time I got back to Lagos, I've been in service to young people, because I work with my church, and it's a big church in Lagos, and our children's church, our youth church is massive, you understand, and we have a sizable number of teens and all that, and my work with them has been continuous. I've been working with teens and young people for upwards of, it's more than 10 years, but close to 15 years now. So some things I came to learn, I became aware of while dealing with teens. First was, they're up to date with current trends. They know what's up. They know what's happening in and around and all that. And a lot of times adults are not really aware. We are not aware of their slangs. We are not aware of what they are saying and all that. So a lot of times they might sell you, you understand, because you don't know. But if you want to know what's up, if you want to know what's up, then hang out with them. They will give you what's up. You know. So I've been in that world, and I found out that world is quite an interesting world to be in. The next is that they don't really know as much as they think they know. They don't really know as much as they think they know. You understand? I had an adage from Anonymous some time ago, and it went this way. I'll paraphrase it. It said that it's at 80 that I realized I never knew as much as I thought I knew at 18. At 80, I realized I never knew as much as I thought I knew at 18. So that's the world they live in. They believe they know a lot, you understand, but they still have so much to learn. Okay, the next point, very critical. They are unable to effectively correlate between cause and effect. You understand? That all they are thinking about or living for is here and now. They can't see the effect of the actions they are taking now. You understand? Something might look pleasurable before them, but they can't see the effects of that pleasure. What it is going to bring in probably one month, 2 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. They don't really have a perfect grip of that. So you should bear that in mind. And then, many times they are irrational. They conclude on things without facts, but on hearsay, particularly from peers. So a lot of the information they have is from their peers, is what they hear, that this is, someone will probably one of the peers just overheard an adult say something. They will, that one will bring the information, and everybody takes it, and they don't query to find out, if this thing is actually true, if it's actually factual, you understand? So they live that way. So they are easily emotionally charged and driven. So there's not so much logic in their world. Emotionally charged, driven, everything is about excitement, here and now, let's have fun and all that. 6, they're quite impressionable, they get impressed easily. They are easily influenced if you know how to go about it. All you just really need is to break the bubble and get into their world. And then next, they're generally immature, but they believe themselves to be mature. So it's similar to point 2. You understand? They're generally immature, but believe themselves to be mature. And I think adults have an issue dealing with this around them. So if you try to treat them as mature, you're making an error. If you try to treat them as immature, you're equally making an error. If you try to treat them as a child, they don't like it. But also, in the same vein, you can't afford treating them like an adult. That's why they still call them minors. So their crimes, or let's say whatever they would commit, and in better climes, you can't send them to prison for that. You understand? Because of their age, the age brackets, they will rather put them in a correctional home or something. You understand? Because they know they are not fully mature. They generally have an attitude. We all know this. So they generally have an attitude. If you don't know how to deal with it, it could be annoying. It could be very, very annoying, hanging around them. But they generally have an attitude, and it takes a lot of maturity to, break that bubble and get in, so that you can communicate with them and be on the same page. Finally, they still need so much attention as children do. They still need attention. And part of why they give you that attitude is because they need attention as well. You understand? So they get to that age and you just believe, this one, you have grown up now and you're paying attention to their younger ones and you leave them. No, it doesn't work. It's their own way of asking or demanding for attention. You understand? So they need attention, but you can't give them the attention the way you're giving to the children. You start, treating them like as if they are babies. They don't like it. They don't like it at all. You understand? So they still need attention as children do, but do not appreciate being treated as children. They hate it. You can't afford treating them as children. I'm a big boy. Acknowledge that. Don't come and impose on me childhood. I've outgrown that. Okay, so my personal advice on dealing with teens. First, encourage them to serve younger ones. I believe this will help them mature, build character and competence with time. Based on my experience from youth service, I noticed something over time that, I spent quite a lot of time with these SS3 students, and because they were taking exams, so I spent quite a lot of time with them. I taught them more. I had more time to teach them than the younger ones. But something developed over time. Over time, these SS3 students turned around and were teaching the younger classes. They were teaching SS1, JS2, and the like. And I was so impressed. So I saw that as a template. And, when you bring teams into that world of which they serve younger people, they find meaning. So even in church, I've brought in that I have quite a good number of young people, they come in, they help serve the younger ones. So they do quite a number of things. Some help with seemingly menial things to do. Others help with database, updating and all that, different things. And with that, they find meaning. So while other children might be bored coming to church, these other ones that come to help do these things, they're excited about coming to church. And like that, we've grown through the ranks. And two, allow them to socialize within boundaries with their peers. Allow them to socialize within boundaries with their peers. Very important. So you can't just cut them off totally, or you can't just allow them, socialize boundlessly. You understand? It must be within bounds. And what I've also realized by doing this, you can, through them, influence their social groups. So even as I came back from youth service, when I got back, I had some time on my hands. I equally went teaching in another school. And one particular boy, he was so drawn to me, and he loved the way I taught. So he happened not to stay far away from, where I used to, work part-time. So from school, he would come to my office to meet with me, and I'll teach him. Through that boy, that crowd grew. He brought his friends, he brought, and all of them till today, that measure of influence I had on them years ago is still holding on up until today. The young man in question is currently out of Nigeria, and he still keeps contact with me up until date. Most of these young people now are in their 20s. I think one or two of them are in this meeting. So the next is learn to love them unconditionally. Go into their world to learn from them rather than trying to boss it over them. It's very important. You understand? You have to love them unconditionally. remember I said they have attitude, they will give you attitude, they will give you a lot of things, but you have to look beyond all that. And when they realize you're authentic, to them, you're authentic, they will open up to you and you'll be amazed. And with that, you can influence them better and you can help them, move in the direction God has planned their destinies to go. Okay, the next one says, when necessary, please give tough love. Help them make correlation between cause and effect. Very important. So loving is not just, ooey-gooey, very nice, easy go. No, there are times you need to apply, being stern. You understand? It comes in necessary. You understand? I have a story. I wonder how much time I have, but it's an interesting story. There's a friend of mine whose elder brother, I attended his elder brother's wedding, and at the wedding, he was thanking his dad. He said his dad gave him tough love, and he went ahead. He didn't tell the story. It was later I asked my friend, "What did your brother mean by tough love?" So he went ahead and explained what happened. So this young man, when he was back then in university, the father before then, he has learned from the father. The father used to be gambling, a lot of things. He had quite a number of vices. But by this time, his children had started going into university. The father had turned a new leaf, you understand? And he had stopped gambling. He had stopped all those things, you understand? But he realized his children were still engaging, especially this first son was still engaging in such behavior. So the son came back from school one time and he was about going back. The father said, the father told him, do you still play poker? The boy said, of course. He now told the boy, said, yeah, you with all the yes, I'll still beat you. The boy said, for where? Daddy, you can't beat me anymore. Now I know how to play this thing. I can do it far better than you do. Meanwhile, the dad had given him like 20,000 naira to go back to school the previous day. The dad now say bet on you. He said, come, let's play now. The boy said, you beat the dad. The dad said, no problem. Let's go ahead. Let's try. The boy, they were ready. The guy now said, I'm not going to play without money. You have to put a stake. You have to stake something, So they started playing 50 naira. The dad will win, the boy will win. It was going fairly fine. They said they have to move up the stakes. They moved it up 100 naira. They started, like that. They moved the stakes higher and higher, and they got to like 500 and all that. At the end of the day, it came to a point that the boy will win 1, the dad will win 4, like that. So it got to a point, by the time it was evening, the boy checked his thing. He had probably about 2,000 naira left. And the dad stood up and said he's tired of beating people today, and he rose up. The boy now told, Daddy, I have to go back to school. The father now said, go back now, no problem. He said, Daddy, is my money now. I said, which money? He said, it's my money I used to play the gambling. That's the money for school, that he needs the money back. The dad said, which money? Did I force you to come and play this? I did not force you. You understand? The boy, he frowned. The dad didn't give him back the money. That conclusion was, if you went to a pub to play poker, would you get back the money if you lost it? No, you won't get it back. So finally, the boy had to go and plead with the mom. The mom now looked for somewhere ahead about 7,000 or so and gave the boy. That's how the boy went back to school. That experience lived with that young man. It changed his paradigm, you understand? And that also helped curb the vice, the trajectory he was going on. So make them feel valuable and be a loving guide. Very, very important, very, very, very necessary. So make them feel valuable. So for me, I have made up my mind. I can't be speaking with adults and I have a teenager there and I will avoid or look down on the teenager. I will get everybody involved. I will make sure everybody feels valued. So I would probably turn around and say, did you hear what these adults said? Do you agree? What do you have to say? When I started like that, some of the teens around me felt uncomfortable. After a while, everybody's paddy. So you will hear from them, they hear from you, everybody is learning, Finally, see, be their model. Let your motto be, do as I do and not as I say. So critical, so critical. They see you far beyond, what you're saying. So you can't be saying one thing and doing another thing. You understand? Everything you're doing is making sense. There are biblical examples, but for time, go check Abraham. Things that Abraham did, his son likely did. You understand? So you must, anything you want the children, you want young people to do or become, you become that thing. Do it. You understand? Become the model indeed. And then finally, I would love to look at some scriptural scriptural perspectives on teens. Something I found very interesting in the Bible, and I believe it could also help prime us and give us something to think about. So first, I would ask, have you ever considered the lives of these biblical characters, Joseph, Samuel, David, Daniel, and his companions in Babylon? My next question would be, who would God likely talk to about the distant future? Is it the 60-year-old or the 16-year-old? Is it the 60-year-old or the 16-year-old? Based on these examples, God is very involved in the lives of these young people. I have just concluded that if you look at all of them, Joseph, God spoke about the future, telling him of how his brothers, his father, and all that will come and bow down to him. Telling him, things. He might not have been clear about it, you understand, but he told him all this information these elder ones did not have. Similarly, Samuel, God told him about the end of Eli and God, how he's going to be a prophet, filling in that gap and all that going into the future. David, similarly, you understand, David and all that. God is very involved in the lives of these young people, and it's part of, my conclusion that if you want to know the future, hang around with young people. Believe me, if you want to know the future, hang around with young people. You understand? They might not be aware of it themselves, but God is speaking to them. God is speaking to them. They might not be very clear. That's why they need mentoring. The older person can come in and guide them. But I know God is very involved in their lives. So the second, this thing from scripture is contrast the relationship between Pharaoh and Joseph and that of Saul and David. What lessons can we learn as adults while dealing with young people? And lessons I could learn, you understand? These people, the younger ones here, Joseph and David, they were more or less like rising stars. They were, people that all of a sudden, just were coming into the limelight and all that. Interestingly, Saul was intimidated by David, and he thought the best way to deal with David was snuff out David's star. But on the flip side, a pagan king saw another uprising youth, coming, and he saw potential. What did he do? He mentored, he gave him room, he gave him platform to grow. And I think that's the way to go in dealing with teenagers. So I'll finally close on this by saying that let's create the future we expect through God's leading by lovingly mentoring a teen aright. God will help us. God bless us all. And thanks for the opportunity once again. And thanks for giving me the audience. God bless you.
Thank you very much. That was really, really good. It was a bit. It was a little lengthy, but it was a really good time. Thank you very, very much. I don't know whether anyone has any questions for OM. Please put it in the chat box. We'll take it much later. Yeah, that's a good era. Lovely to have you. Over to you. I'm going to mute. Everybody again.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. That was a good one, Mr. Achibong. Thanks for that. Thanks to Meet Up a Praise Child for having me. This is something I'm always passionate about, talking about teenagers. That's that's my comfort zone, because I've dealt with them for a few years. So thanks once more for having me here on this program. So quickly, because we've spent a bit of time, luckily Mr. Archibong has said a lot about definitions, talking about teenagers, who are teenagers. He's thrown more light into his relationship with, basically he's told us about relationship working with teenagers, which is really, really quite helpful, because you don't realize such things until you see people who talk about their own perspective of teenagers. And to be honest, there are different perspectives. The pastors in the churches have a different perspective. The teachers in schools have a different one. The parents, the siblings, everybody, so if you've had anything to do with teenagers, you have a different angle to what you see. And such a platform like this is good, so we can all rub minds, because nobody knows it. Nobody knows how to do it. The best parent in the world, they've lost teenagers to all sorts, and the best pastors of this world. I keep saying that the devil seems to be tormenting men of God with their children these days, because most of the kids who misbehave are from pastors and bishops, and then you can see that. It's really hard work. It's really hard work. The devil would really want to destroy your ministry, first of all, by attacking your children. But we thank God for, for fathers in faith who have children who are pastors and, who've taken after them. It's really a big thing. And it's always a rough period during the teenage years, even with the best of the best, pastors and men of God that we have around. So I'm quickly going to talk about the teenager. Note definitions again, because Mr. Archibong said a lot about that. Age 13 to 19 years, that's when you categorize somebody as a teenager. So, and it's, the way he said it is just the way I've put it down myself. So there's a child and there's an adult. So a teenager is just right in between. Okay, so you throw somebody in between a child and an adult, and that person is a teenager. And he has, it is so perfect the way he said it. So before you become an adult, you must have been a child. And then after being a child, you must have gone through something like, metamorphosis to become an adult. So a child is somebody who cannot even make any decision at all. You carry them around, you take them around. An adult is somebody who is able to make their own decision. You don't step into their lives. They're able to live on their own. So who is a teenager? So a teenager is somebody in between who is not able to make their decision, but they're able to make a certain decision, but they're not able to make all decisions. So that's why they're caught in between. Now, being nurtured and being allowed to take decisions are two things. So like I said, a child is being nurtured and an adult takes their decision. So how do you not put these two things together to work out what to do with the teenager? It is always a difficult time. Now, today, I'm not going to focus on a lot of things, but if you don't get anything from this presentation, at least get the basic physiology, which is what actually happens in teenagers. Why do they misbehave? Because what the topic today is dealing with teenagers. Why do they misbehave? So if we understand why they do it, then we'll understand where we should be coming from, what we should be doing with them. And that is basically what, I would emphasize much more today. So I've said that, they are in between. So how come they're in between? That's the way God has created things to be. You become a child, and then all of a sudden you go into your puberty. Now, puberty launches you into your teenage years, because puberty for girls, 10 to 11, for boys, 11 to 12, they go into puberty. And what is puberty? Physical changes. So they start seeing, oh gosh, hairs on my armpits, oh, hairs, other places of your body, breast, everything becomes bigger. And that's the change. So the physical changes launches you into the teenage years. Now, that is self-discovery. A child who's never had anything and then starts developing, they start being curious. Oh, why am I developing all these things? I'm looking more like daddy, I'm looking more like mommy. And, the curiosity starts. And that's when, the teenage year starts. So what happens really in the brain? And I'm going to break it down as much as I can today, because I did not even as a doctor have this understanding until I started dealing with teenagers myself. And we all talk about, oh, well, it's hormones, oh, it's hormones disturbing. But I didn't really go into what this hormones, what, I know hormones well. Yeah, we've all got hormones. It will kick in, it will bother us, if not the beginning of puberty. For women, even when you become menopausal, it will still disturb your life. So what is this hormones all about? And then how does it affect boys, men? Because we never hear people saying hormone is disturbing boys, and it does really disturb them, because obviously you see a child who you met last year was talking, and then the following year, oh, something has changed, his voice is deepened. So there must be something going on. So that's the hormone, and that is the hormone we should really pay particular attention to in dealing with these teenagers. That's different from the rest of the group. And it's just a metamorphosis. The process of going into it is such a difficult stage that, it is just God that would help at this point in time. So what happens in the brain? Now, during the adolescence, that's the teenage years, the brain is under reconstruction. Now, the way I put it, and I tell them, is that, you guys, the brain is developing from the back to the front in teenage years. So the brain has grown and is matured and it's in the skull. Now, amazingly, the brain has to grow. And that is the reason why at 18, they're able to make decisions, because the brain has now grown to maximum. And it is amazing how it happens. So by 10, 11, they've not got anything in their cortex. And then by 18, the cortex is fully grown. And this is what happens. This is the process where they change from being a child to being an adult. Those are the years, the teenage years. And God is so wonderful, because how then did we create the teenage years? Just to wrap up what, God's maturity plan for human, from being a child to being an adult is. So the way it happens is that the brain develops from the back to the front. So the back, we have the occipital, lobe, which controls the eyes. The middle, you have the parietal, which control some other functions, and then it goes to the front. Now, the cortex here, the frontal cortex, it's what actually controls a lot of things. So the mood, the actions, the judgments, a lot of things are being controlled by the front one, and it's the last to develop, because you must be complete before you can function with this one. So all the other ones must be complete before you can function, and then it's the year after year after year. So by 17, 18 years, they believe that you should have a fully developed cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex, which is the way we call it, is the decision part of the brain, and it is responsible for the child's ability to plan and to think about consequences of their actions, and it is the last to develop. So a 13, 14-year-old child will do something, but they don't know the consequences because they lack the reasoning to understand why they've done it. That is why they need a parent to guide them. They know that they should do it. They know maybe I may be wrong, but they don't understand, well, maybe if I do it, I would land into trouble. And that's why God has created you to guide them through that process of letting them know it is wrong. If they miss it at that point in time, they may miss it for life. That is why we are parents. And that is why this kind of forum is very good for parents to come and let's, rub our minds to know how best it is to deal with this. Luckily, I can be, my work permits me to be able to talk about it, because I see a lot of teenagers, and the practice where I work, it is predominantly Black, because I'm somebody that wants to give back to my community. So even though I'm in the UK, I see a lot of Africans, because that's the only way I can help them. If I'm running away from Africans, who is going to help them? The church I go to, it's an African church, because my children, they have to grow up with the African people and African mentality, so they understand their own culture and values as well. And I teach a lot of teenagers, so and nurture them as well. And then thirdly, I'm a mother of, I have a teenager at the extreme stage. So I have a boy who's going to be a teenager in a few months, and I have a girl who is almost coming out of her teenage years. She's going to be 17 soon. So, I've got the two extreme ends. So I know how it started. I know how it's ending now with the girl. you know, which I'm so grateful to God about. It's been a difficult journey. And the boy is starting now, so we're already preparing ourselves into the journey of the boy. And if you don't prepare yourself and you just realize that these things are going to happen, you lose it. If you allow your job to take over your life, you will lose it. If you allow other commitments to take over your life, if you allow the church to do it for you, you will lose it. Charity begins at home. You have to do it yourself. Then other people can contribute to it. In Nigeria, we are lucky. A lot of people look after your children. Oh, let me tell you what happened when you were not away. Here, you don't have that. It's none of their business. Well, the child goes, well, it's none of my business. I don't care about my neighbor's child. That's the way they operate. But Nigeria, they will still come and, you know what, when you're away, let me tell you what this person did. So which is good because you have the community effort as well. But in cases, but even in some places in Nigeria now, there's so many people living in the estates, they don't even say hello to each other. So it's all, you know, the world is becoming like the same. It is everywhere. Anything we say here is applicable to most parts of the world. And that's why we need to learn. Now, let me go back to the physiology. So I've talked about the cortex now. So what are they using to reason during this period? We have what we call the amygdala in the brain. It's just in the posterior brain. And that is what they use to make their own decisions. Now, the amygdala is responsible for emotions, impulses, aggression, instinctive behavior. Can you see that? If you tick all those things, it's a typical teenager. So if you say emotion is going up and down, typical teenager. If you say they have, you know, spontaneous impulses, typical teenager. If you say, well, they're aggressive, Mr. Achipong mentioned being aggressive, which I just said, perfect. It's a typical teenager. No, mom, it's not like that. You don't even understand, you know, typical teenager. Instinctive behavior, they want to, you know, spot of the moment. Yeah, they want to do something right now. Oh, you know, why shouldn't I do it? Okay. This is what I want. This is what I believe. But, you know, these days, oh, mom, you're old fashioned, you know, because they want to be new fashioned. So, and it's different from our time to this time now. When we were teenagers, things were a lot easier. There was no social media. There was no, you know, no troubles in the world as we have now. The teenagers of these days, wow, we need to help them. It is massive. The out there is toxic. Too toxic. And so how do we help them from growing into maturity? Mind you, 18 just tells us they become an adult. It's not like they have fully become an adult, but at least at 18, they go into university here. You don't enter university here until you're 18. And that is why sometimes, you know, when education is sped up for children, it affects them in the future. You see people who already, you know, I know that my brother, my first brother, he was meant to enter Ife at 15 years. It was that good, but they rejected him. Ife would not take anybody who's not 16. So my dad was angry, and then the next one he did, you know, he went into UI. So it is for a reason. They don't want a 15-year-old in the university. They're not ready yet. It is for a reason. Education can be sped up, but you know what? It is not academic performance alone. It is overall holistic. Not just, you know, yes, it will affect, if it doesn't affect in 2030, it may affect them in their 40s. We see them. People who have not had opportunity to do what they should have done when they were in their 20s or 18, they're now trying to do it, you know, at a wrong age. We should let them mature as God has created the brain to mature. God has done this for a reason. That's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. By the time you get to this step, then you can go and live on your own. So, I mean, that is what I will bring to this table today, that we need to understand these children and not say, oh, no, you can't do that in this house. It is not possible in this house. It is not, may not be them. It may just be what, you know, the hormones is going up and down because it's trying to create the right body for the right brain so that they can function in life. Now, for the boys, they have testosterone. The testosterone surges. When it surges, it affects the amygdala. And what it does is it affects its function. So it causes impulse to go up, aggression to go up. It causes, you know, all these behavioral problems to go up. And then you see that, oh, the children are, you know, they're confrontational, or they're a bit more aggressive, or, you know, they're talking back. But and then now is the time for you to sit down and realize that, well, it's not you. My daughter is, when I say, oh, it's not you, the next thing she say, it's my hormones. Because you know that she's heard it over years. I say, oh, it's not you. Oh, it's your hormones. She will just reply me, it's your hormones. Mom, it's not hormones, it's not hormones. I say, it's your hormones. But now we've passed that stage, because you know, 13, 14, I was saying, it's not you. Are you in your period? No. Are you in the middle of your cycle? Oh, it's your hormones. And then I say, Mom, everything is hormones. I said, oh, you would be soon. Now she's looking back saying, Mom, was it really hormonal then? I was really like up and down, up and down. She understands now. She's calm. She makes her decisions perfectly. She come and ask questions. She is so different from what she was when she was 13 and 14. And we were struggling and battling, and, you know, and there's somebody who, as well, you know, they've got their own qualities as well. And, you know, oh, Mom, no. I said, You settle down. Me, I'm your mom. Yeah, let's talk together. Let's talk to each other. Talk to me, and then I'll talk to you. I'm here to correct you. I will never be wrong for you, because I gave birth to you. And that is why we are the first. We shouldn't let people do it for us. We should do it ourselves. Understand this. Understand that this is what they have. This is what God has created for us to develop, to mature in life. The girls have estrogen, they have progesterone as well. And it goes up and down. And when it goes up and down, it destabilizes the amygdala body as well. And then mood, behaviors, emotions, you see their emotions running all around. The bad thing about progesterone and estrogen is that it suppresses an hormone called serotonin. And if we know, serotonin is what causes low mood naturally in people. That's why when you have depression, what we give, antidepressants, they are, you know, medicines that will help your serotonin to go up, so that, you know, your mood can go up. So naturally, hormones will suppress the serotonin and make them depressed. That's why if they comment about them in school, oh, what, you don't even look, you see the way you look, you're so ugly. They call Mom, they can't eat for 3 days. Their mood is very down. Oh, what's the point? Oh, somebody told me Mom, somebody told me, the teacher told me I'm no good. Oh, and it affects them negatively, because they can't take it at that time, because the hormone is dealing with them, and then somebody is from outside, you know, is bringing some sort of derogatory things into their lives. So if we don't understand this and how it works, it will be difficult, and it will be difficult for us as parents to be able to help to nurture this children. Now, causes of conflicts with parents. This happens most of the time when parents don't understand, like I said, you know, how to deal with the behaviors, how to deal, you know, how to help them to deal with their own behaviors. They have a lot they're dealing with. Most of the time, they don't understand. Why would a child who was lovely until he was 10 years, and then all of a sudden he's 13, and then, you know, he's misbehaving? You know, oh, and then the first thing we say is a spiritual battle. No, they've exchanged my child. No, this is not my child. This is not the child I gave birth to. Oh, something is happening. Pastor, please come and help me. This child, looked at me and actually spoke to me high for high. The child that I gave birth to myself, you know, and then we start being, but we've not even asked why. Why is he doing that? Why did he speak? But he's never done that before. Why did he do that? What is happening? Is it him? Is it external force? Is it something he's been reading? Is it something he's seeing on the TV? Why? Explore the reasons before we now start looking for help. If you don't know the reason, if you don't know the cause of the disease, how do you want to treat it? What do you want to give to treat it? You just be, you know, managing, playing poker like Mr. Chibong with your life. So why would we want to play poker with our children's lives? We need to find out why. This is where the conflict starts from, because the child changes suddenly, and you don't expect a pastor's child to be sagging their pants. It is not acceptable. What will people say? You are my son. I cannot let you do that. But have you sat down and told him why it is wrong? Have you told him why it is not acceptable? Have you talked to him to ask him why he's doing it? You just want to, you know, lord over them. You cannot do it in my house, under my roof. It is impossible. Then boy will tell you that, oh, so many things will be possible even after that. He will pierce his teeth. I mean, pierce his ear. And, they would do all sorts of things to themselves just to, just as a rebellious attitude, because we fail to understand them. So they will argue, they will create a hostile environment, even for you, their parents. They would seclude themselves, they will lock themselves up in the room. They will chat away with their friends. They will seek for advice from elsewhere. If they can't get it from you, be rest assured, because their brain is not developed, they will look for it elsewhere because they just want that comfort. If you're not giving them the comfort will come from outside. And the reason why we must speak to ourselves is to make sure it is not coming from the wrong place, because then we're going to lose a child. And when we lose them, it is very hard to get back. We will get them back, or if we can, go on our knees very well, they will come back. But it is, why do we want to do that when it can be easier, done very easily from the start? So eventually, the purpose of this is not to push them out. Okay, we are supposed to be nurturing them, protecting them, and the home is supposed to be a safe haven for them, safe place of safety for them. And that is what we should be doing, not pushing them to friends, the internet, the media, to teach them, things of the world. So quickly, not to take too much of your time, I said what can affect, the peers and the teenage group negatively. So parental conflict, so even dad and mom fighting every day, and then they have seen, sitting down in my practice, and I've lost a doctor. My mom and dad, they've caused depression, parental conflicts between each other, causing depression for the poor child. I just feel like walking out. I don't want to live in that house again. It's too much for me. My dad comes in and is drunk, and then he beats my mom. I just want to take my life. I don't want to live again. I mean, you hear that, even sibling conflicts. They fight with their siblings, and you're there, you're not even seeing these things. You're too busy to see them. You're too busy. And then over religiousness, spirituality, over simple things. Okay, we need what you have not started from day one. The first episode that you did, that you were trying to say that every family should sit down and find a way to do their own things. Everybody has different ways of doing it. And the lady, I think it was a pediatrician lady that you brought, and said that we have a Bible verse that we do every day, or we have a memory verse. That Sunday, I started with my memory verse. I said, you people are Agbalagba now. You are old, but we will start memory verse in this house. It is working, it will work. It is what you know. I'm sorry, but I'm Yoruba, so I use a lot of Yoruba. The Yoruba will say that it's whatever the bird eats that it takes to fly with it. If you don't have the word in you, forget it. How are you going to fight people? When they come, they will come. How are you going to tell them that he who is in me is greater than he who is in you, when you don't even know who is in you? So those are the things. If you don't start from when they're crawling, speaking into their lives, when they start walking, when they start reading, you give them books to read, you give them the Bible, you give them, you nurture them in that way. How do you want them to fight when they become teenagers, when the battleground is so hard, when it's so difficult on the battleground? How do you want them to survive? So, don't let us be, playing, oh, it is not possible, not in this house. Oh, my dear God, in Jesus' name, you will not do it. In Jesus' name, sit them down, talk to them. You remember what we said 2 years ago? You remember when you read the story of this? You remember what the Bible told us? You remember? But because you will not tell them, you remember if you've not told them before. What are they going to remember if they've not been told? So speak, let them know this is not acceptable. This is God. I'm presuming a lot of people here are Christians, and that's why I'm talking like that. Because we need to teach them. It is what you teach them that you can remind them of. If they've not been taught, how are you going to say, do you remember the story in the Bible that says? You can't. So peer pressure is another thing. It is there all the time. I have, in fact, she was one of my girls in church. The hairs were coming to her forehead. You know the way the hair, some people hairs like a hairline, you know, pushes to the forehead. And they were bullying her in school because of that. They were calling her, oh, you know what? I think you made a mistake. You were coming as a chimpanzee. And then you made a mistake and you turned into human. See where your hairline is. And she came that Sunday. She was waiting for me to come into church. And don't get it wrong. These kids can't talk to their parents. They wait for me. The ones that are self-harming, they'll say, Auntie, I've done it again this week. They come to me, they cover up in cardigan. You think, oh, they're cold, but they're covering up their scars. They come to me, they say, Auntie, I had sex. They'll come to me. I said, I'm so sorry because when I was doing it, I was just remembering what you were saying, but after I did it, I went to ask for forgiveness, but I said, I must come and confess to you. So what did you do? I've been to the GPs, or I've collected, or I've sorted myself out, but I'm just feeling guilty. I think I need to come and tell you. Are you going to condemn them? The parents don't even know they're doing it. And it is parents like me and you. They don't even know, where's your mom? Oh, she was on night shift. Where's your dad? Oh, he's gone on a business, he's in France, or he's gone to Nigeria. Oh, and the same thing is happening even in Nigeria. And that is why people don't talk about homosexuality in Nigeria, but it is now on a high rate, targeting teenagers. Let me tell you, a boy who was 14 years, the uncle came from Nigeria, and the uncle was, I think, 20-something. The uncle was the mom's junior brother. And this, I'm just sharing this. It may just be a little bit off, but I'm just sharing this so that as parents, we be more sensitive. The dad and mom were here. So the dad, went to have another wife in Nigeria, left the two boys with the mom. So mom had to work. She had to pay bills. So she brought her junior brother in to come and help. And so he can work and make money as well. The junior brother was the one who started sleeping with this 14-year-old boy, man and man. He destroyed this 14-year-old. He destroyed his life. And I always say this story because they are proper Yoruba people. Yoruba, they're not far-fetched, they're Nigerians. And the uncle died. Obviously, he died of penile cancer about, I think, 7-8 years after he got to this country, because he had been doing, and I'm thinking somebody lured him even into it, and he's now doing it. And, because the practice where I work, I'm the only Black person. The white people were just giving him antidepressants. He dropped out of university. He was in second year. He couldn't survive after the uncle died because the uncle owned him. And the mom didn't have a clue of what was going on. And the uncle destroyed his life. And his life was just at the verge of destruction. And he came to me and said, I looked at him and said, why are you on all these tablets? What's wrong with you? Where's your mom? He was 21 then. Or 22. I think it was about 22 then. So because it was in year 2, he was in second year of uni. And then he cried. And then the way he was shaking. Which uncle will die and it will still be affecting you 6 months after? So I looked into it. I said, is there something? Is it about your mom? Because I was thinking it was to do with his mom. Is your mom, has she remarried? Is she got a boyfriend? Is a man harassing you? So I was going through, trying to figure out what was going on with this young lad. And then he just broke down and started wailing. And I said, what? He said, my uncle left me and I've got nobody. I said, what do you mean? Did he used to give you money? He said, he gave me everything. What do you mean? He slept with me? Slept with you? Uncle? Blood? Is your mom's blood? Yes, direct brotherhood. So I had to raise the safeguarding issue. Unfortunately, the person we're safeguarding is here, but the person, the perpetrator is dead. What do we do? What do we do? So I went to my safeguarding leader and I said, this is what happened. We're like, oh gosh. And they've all been saying, and even the safeguarding leader has seen that boy, they've not been able to get that issue out of the boy. But I think because he just saw me and I was like, no, I'm always very passionate if you're from my side of the world. Because I believe that that your mom is struggling. She probably struggled to come here to make you somebody. You dropped out of uni, you're still crying like, what is wrong with you? And I spent a lot of time. So when people say, oh, don't bring a man so that to come and rape a girl. Oh, Don't bring a man to come and rape a boy. Forget it. It's both ways. Your first program, but you emphasized, but you know, I was smiling when you were saying that. Be careful who you bring into your house. Be careful who you bring into your house before they come and destroy what you have labored for all your life. That guy is dead, but he destroyed this boy. And the boy can never be normal again. Never. One is he doesn't even know how to do woman. He said he can never speak to a woman in his life. It is not in his agenda. He doesn't know what women exist again in his life. I said, can you start all over again? He said, I'm dead. That the person who owned me is dead, so I'm as well dead. So imagine, and that's just by the side. And this is what happens. A 14-year-old boy, an innocent teenager that we left in the hands of a devourer and devoured him into pieces. So those are the things we should learn as parents. We should not sleep with our eyes open, closed. If it's possible, sleep, but keep your eyes opened, your ears. Talk to them, bring them, talk to them. Share your own, share your own experience. My daughter was saying, Mom, it was my dad in my first birthday. I said, he was number 3, 1, 2, 3. I tried the first one, I tried the second one. Your dad was the third person. Mom, so my dad, because you're very, very tough. So how did you, because your dad was very empathetic. It was the empathy that got me. Talk to them. Let them know. And, be role models as well. And talk to your spouse. Let's talk to our spouses as well. My husband, I will say, look, they are looking at you. Before they say they don't want to marry. No, I don't want to marry a man like my father. God forbid. And that's what, a lot of girls, which are mentored, they will say, Auntie, God forbid. If I see somebody like my dad, I will run the opposite direction. How can we stop that from happening? So there's a lot, and we just have to be watchful. I mean, I know that our time is gone, but I've talked about a lot of things, even with the short example that I've given. We need to be careful. We need to look at them when they're losing weight. We need to be careful. Is somebody telling them you're overweight, you look like this, you look like a pig? When they're putting on weight excessively, we need to be careful. What is going on? Simple things, we need to be sensitive. Acne, people have been bullied for acne. You won't even understand. People have been bullied for so many things. And I tell my daughter, I said, look, my leg, I have knocked knees. I was bullied in secondary school, not UK, Nigeria. They will draw me on the wall, the boys, because I went to a mixed school. They will draw me on the walls with my leg going like this and one going like that. And I used to cry when I got home. But then, when I go and tell my mom, they're bullying me of knock knee. Go and read your book. What is knock knee? They don't understand, but it affected me. And I had to be wearing something that would flow and cover, because I would think, people. And then all of a sudden, when I went into uni, I just got the boldness back. However, it is about what is in my brain, not what is on my body. It is about what is in me and not what is outside. But sometimes you can't fight those, but they can't fight those battles themselves. They need us. They need to talk to us. We need to build their confidence. We need to help them. Sometimes it's the academics. They're not doing well in academics. Now, don't crucify every child that is not doing well. We have all manners of things. We have kids with dyslexia. We have kids with this, what's it called? The one that you can't write. So we have all those things in the background, but we are killing these children because, look at your mates, look at your mates, look at your mates. But we've not even managed to sit down and see what their deficiencies are. Is it being caused by an underlying problem? Have they got ADHD? Have they got, Asperger's disease? Have they got autism? Have they got, there's so many things in the background that we don't check, especially, we Black race. And we just bully these children. So say, you've not seen somebody's child, she's the top in her class. Why are you the last thing? A child they may have underlying things going on, but how do you deal with it? How do you even know? Teenagers, some can't write a letter. Well, it's not like they can't, but they have a problem. They have a problem with writing. They speak all the English in the world, but they can't write. Some can write everything, but they just, you know, they can't, they stammer, they can't speak well. And it's just a form, it's, you know, it's not a total disability. It's something they can work on and improve on themselves. And this is the areas where we parents, we need to help them. We need to know what is working for them. We need to avoid conflicts with these children. We need to know how it's affecting them. So, I mean, I've just put a few things down. If your child is grumpy, if he becomes aloof, if he's showing signs of rejection, if he's aggressive, you know, Ms. Achibong talks about that a lot. If he's rebellious, you know, just angry for no reason, spending more time with friends, behaving recklessly, if he's anxious, if the mood is low, sit down and find out why. If the academic performance is poor, you know, if he's not socializing well, sit down and find out why. There are a lot of things in the world. Now, sexualism, I'm not going to touch that because that is a whole big topic. But please, up to date, they said there are 73 genders now in the world. Me, I know God created man and woman, but in the world now, they said there are 70 something, I'm not sure 73 or 78, but 70 something genders that they have created now in the world. And our children are living in this world. So it is not the world that you lived in as a teenager, but they are living as teenagers now. Like I said, it is so different now. I've heard male and female, I've heard patients come to me that they are gender neutral. They say they are, the non-binary one is a common one. They are teaching non-binary in schools now. So non-binary means you've not identified what gender you are. They've got pangender, they've got gender queer, they've got two-spirit gender, third gender. They are not the first, second, they are the third gender. They've got mixed genders. God is our strength. It is a whole big topic. And obviously, Sister Temitope, that's one of the things you should get somebody to come and talk to us about. The gender, the sexualism one is a big thing. If you know how many people in Nigeria that they've spoken to me and say that children are now bisexual. So it was then I knew, oh, it is not happening in, don't think it's happening in any Western, it is there, it is with us. It is a big thing. And if we don't let these children, they will, and you know what, they come to me, they say, because we can't even speak against it. So what? So what? I said, no, nothing. But what do you understand? Do you even know from the beginning? Oh no. It was because, imagine a girl saying it was because I never had any boyfriend till I was in maybe like SS1 or SS2. And then nobody toasted me. And all my friends had boyfriends for 3 or 4 years. So I then became a lesbian because a girl was easily available. Nobody would come to me. So I swung to the other side because I want to be accepted. And I still had a child whose grandmother brought to me, and she was facing bullying because she refused to be a lesbian. They are bullying her in school because she refused to join them. And these are the things that they are facing, but they can't tell us because we're too spiritual. So, social media, it's also another big topic. That's why I left those ones, which we can't handle. It is mad. When I see social media, Nigerian youths commenting, I'm not talking about me, I don't do youth, I do teenagers. Because at the time where you're youth, the sense is complete. So it's entirely up to you to do whatever you want with your life. I'm only worried about the teenagers because the brain is not complete yet. How do I nurture them so that by the time the brain is complete, the physical body is complete, they're ready for the world? So that is my own side of things. Now, I'm going to quickly round up so that we can. So in conclusion, just basically in conclusion, I just said, do not be too busy for your children, watch over them, guide them, be their friend, maintain one-on-one relationship, and every child is an individual. Please don't group the children together. If you want to have a chat, call one in, don't bring the other one in, because he may not even want to share when the sister is there or when the brother is there. So they're individuals, and that's what I've learned over years. each one, they're different. They brought different, attitude. They've got different attitudes. They've come to life in a different way. So create time for each child as an individual. Help them to develop a relationship with God from a tender age. The Bible has answers to all questions. I think it was Dr. Fatala who said, Bible has answers, all the answers in the world. Every question in this world, the answer is in the Bible. Don't wait for the church to do it. Do it yourself. So that by the time they get to church, they're even teaching people in church. In churches now, it's pornography they're going to watch. Let me tell you, I'm a teenage leader. I caught them and I seized the phone, and it was pornography on their phone. While I was teaching, they were passing the phone to each other and they were giggling. Give me that phone. It took me fights. I grabbed the phone and I saw, and I reported to all their parents. I don't normally report children to the parents, but that one, it was beyond me. Please do it yourself first. Charity begins at home. Before you think the teacher in church is going to have time for your own child, please do have the time yourself. Set rules and boundaries and standards in the house. There must be rules. There must be boundaries. You must say, this is your wake up time. This is your house chores. This, no sleepover in another person's house. You must pray. This is our prayer time in the morning. This is our family time. If there's no rule, nobody is bound by anything. There must be standard. 7 p.m. Everybody must be in the house, and parents, everybody must obey all the rules. We must all obey the rules. Otherwise, they'll come back and say, Mom, you made the rules, you broke the rules. They don't care, they will tell you off. So discuss your own life experience. Let them share from you. Let them share from your friends, people you know. Let them come and talk to them. Build family relationships. Like I said, prayer time, meal times. It may be meal time that you will hear what you've never heard before. It may just be taking them to school. My daughter, I use the opportunity. Fridays, I don't work because I want to carry them. Because that school journey, because the school is quite far. For me, Mom, let me tell you. So I grab. I go and reflect on everything she's told me when she's back. Those things you told me, money, I couldn't function. Do you want me to tell the mom? Oh, Mom, no. They will say, I said it. What about you? Even you that you're saying somebody else, what are you doing? Mom, trust me now. I don't trust you. So, it helps you to bond. They trust you. And when they tell you and they don't hear from their dad or nobody's, Mom, so you didn't tell dad about that thing. How will I tell him? It's confidential. It's between you and I. Mommy, Esther. They trust you. They tell you more. You're winding them to spill. They are spilling. Meanwhile, you are using your own knowledge to use the spill to turn around and use it effectively to help them. It works. Be their friend. It works. So go for holiday, go for trips. Have family traditions. Every birthday, we must do surprise gifts. Okay, before the person wakes up, put the gifts on. Do those things. It's lovely. You got me, catch them unawares, do a lot of things, share the family responsibilities, and the dad should do as well, not this African men that they don't want to do. Me, I cannot marry an African man. When I go to some people's home and the wife is busy sweating and putting the food, so what does the man do now? This is not fair now. But we'll just sit down and look, and I'll be looking at my husband, thank God, we don't understand. We understand each other. Let that to do. We just buy bicycle. 3 of us now have bicycle. My husband said no. They said next year you will ride bicycle with us. Let's all ride and in the neighborhood. And I said, look, that's memorable. I need the bicycle. The last time I rode the bicycle was when I was 16 years. Then my daughter said, Mom, it will always come back. It will always come back. They're all jumping into pool. I swam. I learned it. When we went on holiday last year, I drowned. I said, Mom, just stay in the water. He encourages us. I stayed in the water with them. They were doing all sorts in the water. I would do whatever they want me to do, just to encourage them, just to know them, so I can hear what they are saying. And it's very, very crucial. So, and then seek extra support, like I said. If the child needs help, please seek support. And last but not the least, spiritually, we can't do it without God. We can't do it without God. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I think I've taken a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's been a very, very intense session, which I know that you've cut you've cut in bits, but I know you have a lot to say. Thank you so much. I'm sure we might actually bring you back to discuss maybe some of those other things you've mentioned if you have our time again. But it's been amazing hearing you speak. You've talked about so many things. I don't know whether people have been taking notes. From Brother Uwem's session, he was talking about you need to be authentic enough yourself to influence, unconditional love, understand cause and effect. From Dr. Gundira's session, she's talked about conflict, find out why, and you don't want to be the source of the conflict. There's something specific that you've mentioned that touches me because I know that good men are not many. And we need more father figures. We need our boys. A lot, as you've mentioned, a lot of people assume that the women are at risk because physically they might be fragile. But our boys, when they are children, even when they are young men, they still find the need for validation. They are also equally fragile, and we must not neglect them because it's changing our whole landscape. It's changing our families, changing our relationships if we are neglecting one side and just picking one. And we need the family to grow together. We've done a series on relationships. I think if you have good relationships, that's the building block before you can say you're now helping your child because you're both on the same plate. But when mother is saying this, father is saying this, or it's a bit dysfunctional, it really takes the grace of God to work things out for the family. And you've mentioned something about academic delay. I failed an exam when I was attempting emergency medicine training. And my boss at the time said, maybe you should have an assessment to find out whether you're dyslexic. I said, it does not exist in my country. We need to find out whether if you write the exam, maybe you're maybe I'm slower than other people. I say I'm not slower than other people. I finished my exams before other people finish. So it does not have anything to do with needing extra time. But I am actually dyslexic. I'm always putting one on top of the other. But if you live in our country, you've been auto-correcting for a very long time, for decades. So it's not a thing. And we don't take it as a crutch. I know in the UK, people glamorize their illnesses. Oh, their grandmother has this, they have that, they have this, and they're lining all their illnesses like a badge, which we completely hate where we come from. You don't want people to even know that something is wrong with you, even if something is wrong with you. But yes, we don't accept it as a crutch. But there was a child that I saw in clinic. I was now in GP training then. And the child said, I have one very novel name, something scotoma, but I need to have a purple sheet on my book so that I can see the words. And I was so impressed that, wow, that's, who knows, maybe this thing exists in our country. And they would just say that the child cannot read, And it was when I now read, because I was hearing what the boy said for the first time, and I realized that there are different ones. Some people need a yellow paper on their sheets. They need some color from the color spectrum to be able to read words. It's not very common, but it exists and it affects children. And growing up and hearing things like, who got first in the class? Why did you not get first? Are you a friend of the person that got first? Kind of the pressures that we grew up with. But I know our parents want the best for us. They want their children to be excellent. But if you see that it's a trend, there are children that do have learning difficulties and they're special children. There are people that maybe have some deficiencies, like you've mentioned, dyslexia, and we might not even know that they exist, but you just see that you try and support the child. And in this part of the world, you have people that have special tutors with a child and they're helping them learn at a different pace. And I think it's really good. But at least the understanding for parents that their child can be different is really, really good as well. Thank you very, very much. That's been a great session. I would just let Sister Adebusola take over the stage now while she tells us about her experience with her daughter, Wanda. Okay, welcome, Mrs. Adebusola. Go on, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I need to actually give Dr. Ronke standing ovation. You did very well. Actually, you actually made come out clear to everyone. Yeah. Even things I thought I knew as characteristics of teenagers, but I did not know why it was happening. You made it clear to me. Now I understand that I have what is called toddler, children, preteen, teenager, and super teens. So now I can understand why the super teens are more level-headed. It's because their own brain has actually formed totally. So I'm actually looking forward to when one day will be 18, 19, and this crisis period of 13 to 16 will be over. Yes, I knew the super teens are cooler, but I didn't know why they're cooler. Now I know. Thank you very much, Doctor. So we're going to start with the fact that when you're dealing with your teenagers, I want us to look at ourselves as parents and look at how we as parents can help these teenagers. We know there are issues. It's not new to everybody. We have a model in parenthood. The Lord's Prayer tells us that God is our Father. So God is actually a model in parenthood. So every parent wants to look at who to look up to for guidance. We should look up to God, who is our Father, who is the first parent. God as our Father has a lot of things to teach us. Number one, He's providing for us, He's protecting us, He's leading us, He has authority over us, He disciplines us, He punishes us, He cares for us, and He has compassion for us. If we as parents try to inculcate all these characteristics of God in ourselves, we will be able to help these teenagers skillfully. God is the model parent. Then let's move on. Like I said, I had the growth range from toddler to children to preteen to teenage to super teen. Doctor has handled that. I'm good now. And I think everybody is good. We know why the super teens are cooler. It's not because the teenagers are bad or because they have demons or because they have troubles. It's just because of the way they are formed and they cannot help themselves. If we don't help them, we damage them. If we help them, we cruise. Everybody enjoys. Everybody enjoys. Everybody enjoys. Let's move on. Now, to be a cool parent, I want us all to be PAL parents. PALL. My P stands for presence. My H stands for availability or accessibility. The first L stands for loving. And the last L stands for listening. If you put these four characteristics together, we will have fantastic, wonderful children. Dr. Ronka said something when she was talking. She said, you want your children to remember what you have taught them. If you have not taught them, what can they remember? And that takes me back to toddler age, to children age. Whatever you put into your children as toddlers and as children is what we are going to see in them as teenagers. A lot of us complain about teenagers. They are this, they are that, they are this, they are that. We have forgotten what we have taught in them when they were young. When a 3-year-old girl comes to her mother, Mommy, can I ask you about this? Go and sit down, I'm busy. Take that girl and go and watch. Or you call the nanny, take her inside the nursery, let her go and watch television. You are pushing the child away from yourself to social media, to television, to toys, to other people. By the time they become teenagers, they are comfortable not talking to you. We now start complaining they are more comfortable out of the family range. It's not their fault. We pushed them away. So when our children are growing, we must sow these seeds of love, of listening, of being present, of being accessible to them. Once your child is tied to your apron from young age, by the time they become teenagers, Hormones will affect them, like doctor said, fine. But when the hormones are affecting them, because you have already established your relationship with them, your crises are not really critical. You can cruise over them. I pray God will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Your teenagers have a lot of characteristics. We have them having plenty of peer attraction and socialization, looking for validation. We have them having mood swings. We have them getting forgetful. We have them pushing boundaries. We have them challenging rules. They have sexual awareness. Their intellects grow. Yeah. They have aggressive behavior. They are self-conscious. Their energy level is wow. They can do a lot more than you. At age 15, wonder will carry things I cannot carry. At times I look at her and wonder, when did I give birth to this girl? She can actually carry me now. She has a lot of energy. They are bubbling with energy. All the characteristics that they have, if we don't put it to the best use, we will destroy them. Let me start with telling you that an idle hand is the devil's workshop. Your teenager has a lot of energy, and let me tell you a fact, they have a lot of idle time. They tell you they are busy, the schoolwork is heavy, it's this and that, it's all fast. They want you to leave them to enjoy their idle time. So what I've done with Wonder is I try to fill up our idle time with activities. And most of the activities, we do them together. Just about 3 weeks ago, I enrolled her in karate class. We've been having issues with spending time on phone, on social media. So then today I just started, I was like, all the hours Wanda spends on phone and social media, if I create some activities for her, by the time she comes back from those activities, she actually has less time to waste away. And those things are actually going to be productive. And just first of, okay, self-defense, we should train the girl child to have self-defense. Let's go and learn karate. She was so happy. I was very happy. So we have started together. Every Saturday morning we go to the stadium. Yeah, we learn karate. And we're doing it together. And even during the karate period, we are bonding, we're enjoying ourselves. When we come back home, we have the same level points. We practice together. So we actually have more contact points now than we used to have. Those hours she would have gone to spend inside her room, doing Instagram and doing whatever, telling me she wants to read before reading. We spend them together. And it's getting better. I think God will help us eventually. Doctor mentioned bullying. Every child has been bullied at one time or the other. Miss Nigeria was bullied. It's the same matter of whether the child is beautiful or not beautiful. Their peers have a problem with attacking each other. So bullying will happen. I've been able to handle bullying since Wanda was in JS1. When she resumed in secondary school, she came home and told me there's this girl who wants her to be a school daughter. She didn't want to be student to this girl. She didn't like her. She said she doesn't want to be a school daughter. And the girl started bullying her. And it continued for about 2 weeks. What did I do? I followed her to school. I went to meet the principal. We called the girl. What's the issue? We had a discussion. And we were able to sort it out. After that particular incident, Wanda did not have any case of bullying again in school. Because she knew she can put her feet down, and when they bully her, she knows what to do. A lot of passengers don't know what to do when you are getting bullied. If anybody is bullying you, and you are letting them know it is getting at you, they do it more. But when they bully you, and you join them in harassing yourself, they will stop. They think this one, it doesn't get to her, and they leave her. And it's actually the normal thing that happens in life. If anybody wants to put you down, if you let them know it's actually getting at you, they continue putting you down. But when you make them think it doesn't bother you, they start making jest of you. You join them in singing the jest song, they will leave you. and they move on. Bullying stopped like that. He said she train up a child in the way it should go. And when it's told, he will not depart from it. Our teenagers, most of the time, they depart. There's always this wavering from what you have taught them. There was a time I was engaging Wanda. She was having this boyfriend, girlfriend crisis. It is normal, I know. But when I engaged her, I said, you, a child that have trained all through young age, taught to the Bible, taught home training, why do you want to have a boyfriend? And she said she wants validation. That was the first time I was hearing that word. I said validation. Why would it be a boy that would give you validation? You have been told that God is your creator. And it is only from God you need validation, even not from me as your mother. A lot of parents miss it when these children start having issues. I've seen a parent who told her child when she started having the boyfriend issues, how can you, my own daughter, be doing that? The daughter will feel put down. If we don't mind it easily, the daughter wants to hurt you the more. Because you are making her feel like you are self-righteous and she's the bad one. What do I tell Wanda? I tell Wanda, you only need validation from the Lord Jesus Christ. No boy can give you validation. And the boy that you think is telling you are beautiful, you are good, he's also telling 3 or 4 other girls the same story. And the day he will go and tell every other person what you have been discussing with him, he will be shocked. As if God helped me to confirm my story. That was how one of our friends came to tell her that somebody kissed her and told his friends. I said, thank you, Jesus. God has actually confirmed my story. And that was the end of the boyfriend-girlfriend issue. Now when she has those stories, she comes home and she tells me, and we are good. I give glory to God. We should screen people you bring into your home. Doctor was telling us about an uncle harassing a boy. At a point in time, one of my nephews was always coming around. He was in between schools. There was one day Wanda picked his laptop. And the first thing that pushed out to her was pornography. Because Wanda and I are very close, she ran inside to meet me. I said, mommy. Come and see what I saw on Okusoso's laptop. And no problem. The guy was going to stay with me for some time in the same school. The following day, I just called him. You will need to go back to your house. Wanda has to start studying for YS. I don't want her to get distracted. If you are afraid to offend people, you will offend yourself and offend your future. I thank God how he gave me that courage. I was able to send the boy back to his parents' house. And whatever I had to give to him, I sent to him from there to there. And we are all good. At least nobody will come inside my house and molest my daughter or turn my daughter to something I have not trained her to be. God will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
You should share your own examples with our teenagers. If we all are going to be honest with ourselves, we are one teenager. We had issues. I'm not sure if my brother is on the platform today, but he actually had a particular point when I was a teenager when he had to write a letter to me. A fine girl, boys were swarming around me, and it was getting into my head. I was enjoying the attraction of boys as a teenager. My brother had to write, I think he wrote about 3 pages, but that while I knew that, he had to write 3 pages of letter telling me what I need to do in life. I can still remember his words in that letter, that if I were you, I would wait until I enter the university and spend 2 years. By then, you would have been sensible enough to know what and what you want in a man. Instead of going out with a boy now and finding out in 2 years' time that the boy is not the kind of a person you want to marry. So what is the point of you going out with a boy? I kept that letter for so long. It was like a companion to me all through my university days eventually. Before I was able to start dating. And here I am today, I give glory to God. If I didn't have a tutelage at that time, everybody was shouting, some were criticizing, some were trying to beat, some were putting me down. They accepted nonsense. You're carrying boys. All these things will not help anybody. No matter how much you beat your child, I am a true life experience, and it is working with me with wonder. It was that letter that Brother Wale wrote that time that turned my head back and gave me a different focus. I pray God will help all of us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
We should be intentional about training our children. Yes. So, you know, one wonder was in SS3, she was 15. She wrote YF. She had fantastic grade 1 results. But I intentionally did not allow her to write BCME. She did it for JAM. All our mates passed. Some of them passed. They're already in the university now. Some of them are in private university. I said no. Wonder will not write JAM until she has passed 16. So even though she had grade 1 YF results, she's now doing A levels. And she's going to write JAM after 16 years old. This 1 year that she has spent doing A levels has given us fantastic bonding period. Is it not because we are starting karate period? Is it not now we are becoming friends? Is it not now we are discussing boys, discussing validation? As only she has been in the university when this validation problem starts, who will she talk to? Because she will not see you until after 2 months, after 3 months. And before that 2-3 months, and these hormones are fighting, and these boys are putting pressure, and girlfriends are telling you the easy thing to do to stop having menstrual problems is for you to have sex. Before you get there, they have damaged your child for you. So I agree emphatically with you, Dr. Ronke. We should not let immature children run out of our protective glare. We should hold on to them and ensure we train them until they are strong enough to stand on their feet. Instead, I don't know where all of us are rushing to. We are in a jet age. 31-year-olds are graduating from school, and when they graduate, they are unable to keep a job. They are unable to keep a relationship. They are unable to relate with human beings on a normal level. A lot of them come out of school and their sexuality is questionable. There was something I was discussing with Wanda. Before, I used to know only about lesbian, gay, LGBT. Now they were telling me I should go and Google. When I Googled, I saw like 12 alphabets again. And they were telling me queer is part of it. In undecided sexuality is part of it. A lot of them will run into school because they are immature. People will drag them into the dragon's nest. And before the parents are available again to reform what you think you were doing, the deed has been done. The deed has been done. I pray God will help us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
On a final note, we need to walk the walk with our teenagers, not just talking to them. You can talk down to your teenager and think you want her to obey you because you are the father, you are the parent. No way. If Marawale did not work with me with that beautiful letter that time, only God knows what would have happened to me. I could have ended up having teenage pregnancy. Because sincerely speaking, I was getting carried away with all those boys that time. But that thing stopped me in my track and my sense was reset. So we must work with these teenagers, hold their hands, let them know what and what is not right. Don't condemn them. Dr. Roke has told us that their brain is not yet fully formed. So what they are doing is not intentionally offending you. No. If you show love to your children, they want to show love to you. and they don't want to hurt you. So stop hurting these children. Stop being harsh on them. Stop being hard on them. Let's show them love in its purest form. The way our Father in heaven has shown us love, and we'll be there. We could. And God will help us in Jesus' name. Please don't forget, be a power parent. Be present, be available and accessible. Listen to your children and love them the way God loves you. And at the end of it all, we will make it on earth, we will make it to heaven. All of us are not our children in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you very much, Sister Adebusola. That was awesome. God bless you. And that was nice and short as well. I'll just bring our speakers to the screen again while they prepare their final words. So that was a great session. And there were some things that stood out to me. I don't know whether other people picked them. That if you're afraid to offend people, you will offend yourself and your future. So that can happen. The story she said about her brother, who I know is a great gentleman, is just a pointer to me that anybody can influence a teenager. And so people should not just be thinking, it's the parents, so it's the teachers, so even their elder siblings. And that's why it's also something that should comfort parents, because children are different. And many times younger siblings follow the model of their elder siblings. So you train your children, it appears like some are taking the correction, some are not. Maybe over time, the younger ones are going to look to the older ones as a model. The seeds you are sowing, even though it's as though it's water in a basket, is getting in one way or the other. And God is going to, we pray definitely, but at the same time, we do our best. But we also know that their angels are working and we need to keep covering them with prayer and being watchful, watching and praying. We can't say too much about it, but not condemning them. Now, when we are saying all these things, it's as though we are talking about perfect human beings. But many times, even the parents are a work in progress. Maybe even the parents did not have fantastic childhoods. They are still healing from their own childhood. So it's about where is it even coming from? How am I comforting you? I knew how my mother reacted with me. So many times, the parents are following the example that they've learned from their own parents. So it's only when over time they begin to understand their children, they begin to walk more with God. So they are changing, their children are changing. It's a work in progress. So it might not happen overnight. If something happens, forgive yourself, move on. It's never too late. We had Dr. Ronke saying they have started memory verse in their house. It's never too late. If you have not been doing memory verse from before, start at any time. It's okay. Yes, build a relationship so that crisis cases are non-critical. And very inspiring to hear that Sister Adebusola is learning karate with her daughter. That is awesome. Some people don't realize that when people do contact sports, they learn more than the contact sports. They learn about respect. They learn about other things. I've met a few lovely people that know about contact sports, and they are very controlled individuals. So I know that there's a lot more that goes into the teaching than just the elements of the fight. So let me not talk too much. I thank you all for trying to keep to time and being helpful in that regard. I will start from Mr. Achibong. Last words for everybody in the house, please, followed by Dr. Ronke, followed by Sister Adebusola. Please prepare your final words for the house. Thank you. Mr. Achibong, please, let's see you. Please unmute yourself. Give us your final words. Thank you. Okay, maybe he's not ready. Dr. Ogudero, please give us your final words. Thank you. I can't hear you. Sorry, you're muted. You're muted. Sorry. You're muted. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was saying thank you to my sister, Sister Adebusola. Oh gosh, you were just cruising through my mind. Fantastic, fantastic experience. And there's nothing to learn from somebody who's got a first-hand experience. You've told us how you've managed yourself. You told us how you're managing things, and nobody knows it all. So we're still all learning. Final words for me is, nothing that we can do without God. So It is difficult for any child in this world right now with what is going all around us to be a Christian. It is difficult. It is difficult for a child to stand up in school and say, I'm a born again Christian. But it would happen, and it will happen with our own children by the grace of God. So Ephesians 6:10-13 is what I'm going to leave us with. Put on the full armor of God. Okay, so our battle is not against the flesh and blood. It is not against ourselves, but it is against everything around us, the rulers, the authorities, the powers of the dark, spiritual forces of evil in the heaven. So that is what we are wrestling with. We are wrestling with the forces who want to create darkness in the world. They're the ones pulling our children into the darkness. They're changing their sexuality, they're changing their, thinking, they're changing their minds. So that is what we are wrestling with right now. And how do we do it? It's only God. It starts from, the home. Okay, it starts, I've relanguaged myself. It doesn't even start from us, the home. See what Sister Debusala just said. It was our brother. I have my own brother impacting my life as well. So it starts from the home. It's a brother who knows what is right, that will teach this junior sister what is right. All right. So if the head is gone like that, from the beginning, the rest will, follow suit. Well, some of them can still succeed, but a lot of times, if you have a good leader, it's easier to follow. So if the parents, sometimes the parents work hard on the second sibling, and they take over. And even in my own case, I've got only 2, but the girl, I just sit down when she's harassing the boy, I'll say, give him, do more. So it's easier for me because I've taught her, and she's teaching her younger brother, to tread the path. And then when he came with something from school, say, I will not take this and this out. Who is taking what now? So it's not mommy again. So the sister is not going to take any rubbish. Oh, that's good. That sounds really, really good. Happy. I was smiling inside my room. Do more. Give him on my behalf. So, and that's what, if you've not done that, if your parents have not trained your brother, he will not be able to caution you. And that's what we need. It's still from the home. So the effort starts. She said it quite clearly, and she break it down from when they are toddlers. Once they know left, right, that is when it starts. Starts from there, and it goes on until we know, well, you're going into uni. I leave in the hands of God. It should not stop. Let's not be too busy. Let's not delegate our own efforts to other people. It is garbage in, garbage out. If you ask people to come in and stay with them, it is what they have, what they have inside of them. You can't give what you don't have. So, final words for me is, it is really difficult in the world that we live in, but we still have God. We still have the Bible. We should go according to the word of God, the doctrines of God, and we will not miss it. Over these children, we will not miss it. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. We still have God. If we didn't take anything, we still have God. There's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, but we still have God. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your passion talking about teenagers and young people. Very inspiring. Thank you very much. Mr. Uwem, are you ready for your final words of this session? Please unmute yourself. You're muted. Kindly unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Okay, final words. I will say, against all odds, let's love them. Let's love them against our own shortcomings, against everything that we lack. We must go above and beyond, you understand, to love them. It's a tough call. But I realize that one language is a universal language, and it transcends everything. When people get to that point and know, oh, this person really cares about me, there's something it does. You understand? There's something it does to humanity, and it shatters walls. It shatters walls of border walls, restrictions, all that. When they just get to that point, oh, this person has my best interest at heart. it does a world of difference. So for me, final words would be, man, against all odds, loving is it's something tough, but they are going to hurt us, they are going to annoy us, they are going to do certain things that are, uncomely and all that. But in the midst of it all, let them never be in doubt that there's always someone you can always talk to. There's someone that cares about you. There's someone that actually has your interest at heart, that cares about you. And I think with that, it will make a world of difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That is awesome. Everybody responds to love because everybody responds to God. God is love. And when we love people, they respond. And people don't want to know how much you know. They want to know, they are able to respond to you when they know how much you care. So once they know how much you care about them, then they can respond to what you know. They can respond to the knowledge you are bringing because they already know that it's coming from a heart of love. Like the prodigal son, for instance, he was able to say, I will go back to my father. So that mindset, I know the kind of person my father is, I will go back to him. So let us be those kind of parents that even when the child goes wrong, they will be able to say, yeah, I know I've disappointed them, or they might not be too happy with it, but I will go back to them and know that they would still encourage me with open arms, or they will try and comfort me in this period, because we all have highs and lows, young and old people. Mother is going through something, child is going through something. It's just life. But let them know that they have support and succor in their parents. And some people don't have support and succor in their parents, or maybe we are going to be the support and succor that they can see, like Dr. Ronke in church for some children and all of that. So let's be mindful of the opportunities in our space to love people. Thank you very much for that. Sister Adebusola, thank you. Let's hear your final words. You're muted though, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly tell you one thing as kids. Connect with your teenagers' friends. Allow your teenagers to bring their friends around you and be a friend to her friend or his friend. If possible, establish family-friend connections. Be friends with your teenagers' friends' parents. It makes life easier for everybody. By so doing, you know who you are relating with, you know who is influencing your child, you know who your child is with at any point in time, and you have some rest of mind. God helping us. On a last note, I want to tell us that at times, one approach does not solve our problems. Even in simultaneous situations, we have different approaches to solving it. Let me give you an example of what happened yesterday night and today. Yesterday night, I was going through Wonder's Instagram page. I now saw two pictures she posted. One, she opened her mouth like this, like somebody who wants to kill. The second one, she put her finger in front of her stuff like this, holding her chest like this. And I called her, I said, Wanda, these two postures, I don't like them. They appear seductive one way, like that. She said, no, that her hand is just calling attention to the chain on her neck. I said, if it is the chain, you would have held the chain off like this. Not putting your hand on your chest as if calling attention to your cleavage or something. You know, she didn't answer me. I just said my own, I kept quiet. But you know, it was inside of me, still bothering me. But this morning, lo and behold, we open heavens to do morning devotion. God just helped me. So we're not talking about the loss of flesh, all the works of the flesh. They just got to one word, they said lasciviousness. Luckily, we don't speak English. I said, what is the meaning of lasciviousness? I don't know. So you open the dictionary. After we put the dictionary, lasciviousness just told us something that is not proper, that is not correct, that is somewhat lewd or something. I just said, like those were pictures of yesterday that I was complaining about. Do you know what he asked me? How do I delete pictures on Instagram? just asked me that. I just told her. Before 2 minutes, she said, check it again. Is it still showing? I said, no, I just checked. It was not showing again. We didn't fight. We didn't have any crisis. Yesterday when I said this, she wasn't ready to delete. I didn't push, but it was in my left hand. I know God will have shown me something. And God helped me. The Bible passage for today's open heavens just explained this. And everything was good. And we are good. And we are still best of friends. And God has done what he wants to do on that page. So when we approach our children with one approach and it seems like it has not solved the problem, let's not fret. But let's keep it in memory. We should not let it slide because we should attend to all our issues. I know God whom we call day in, day out, and who sees the genuineness in our hearts will help us to make everything beautiful right here and there in the mighty name of Jesus. It's been beautiful being here. Thank you, everybody.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sister Adebusola. I know you all have so much to say. It's been amazing listening to all of you. It's been such a great time. I just wanted to touch briefly on something regarding validation. I took care of my niece when she was little for a few days when I visited. And when she got up in the morning, first thing she would go was to go and cry in front of her parents' room so that they would open the door for her. So I went because I was on holiday and they had told me that my work for the holiday was to make sure she has a bath. So I went to the front of their door, picked her up and said, let's go and have your bath. After her bath, I said, what do you want to wear? So she was choosing what she wanted to wear. She wants to wear this, she wants to wear that. She wasn't, maybe she wasn't 3 or 4 then. And then she wore the dress and said, I want to go and show daddy. I want to go and show daddy. That was the next thing she said. And it just pointed to me how much of influence that young girls want to hear their father say, oh, beautiful, you're looking gorgeous. Oh, this is nice and all of that. And it then reminds me of another incident when I was in medical school. And my father used to go and drop me in school every Sunday afternoon. And it did not matter whether there were visitors in the house or they were not in the house. He would just say, I'm going to drop Temitope in school. And he would just carry me in the car. And when we are going, he would say, how was school? How is this? How is that? Okay, be a good girl and all of that. And it meant a lot that he spared that time to take me to school and talk to me and everything. And when I was getting to know a young man that liked me, and the young man was asking me questions like, I want to be paying money into your account, one very responsible young man like that. I said, did I say I need money? My father is giving me allowance every month. I didn't say I need anything from you. Well, it was that contentment that I felt taken care of. I didn't feel I needed something on the outside to support me, even though what I was receiving from home was small compared to what other people were giving me. But I was very, very confident about the fact that I don't need anything from you unless you really want to give it and all of that. And I'm just pointing to the fact that we need to also encourage our men to be emotionally responsive, to be available, to be present, like Sister Adebusola has said, because these are the kind women are responding to emotions every day. They're responding to people who say they love them daily, people that want to give them things. But if they were already contented from where they were coming from, of course, it's not from parents per se. You should always have your source in God. But it's very helpful when the people closest to you have already affirmed you and you don't need that validation on the outside anymore. So that's just something I wanted to add because I don't know how that story is going to help somebody, but maybe somebody needed to hear that. Thank you. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was about friends, because I'm into writing a book about friends. I think it's very important to screen your children's friends. One mustn't jump at making friends because friendship is so deep, as in you can attract evil spirits into your house through friendship. As in, I think people need to be really mindful and know the kind of friends that they have, whether close friends, distant friends, people that you want to put boundaries between. But I think it's very helpful to know your children's friends. Of course, they are also watching who your own friends are. So you will not have anything to say if your friends are no good. But if you know who your children's friends are, then you can easily point things to them that, oh, this thing that your friend told you, okay, where did your friend take you? Okay, and then as in, so it's very, very important to be inquisitive, which is only if you're available that you can hear that they talked about their friend, or they can tell you that my friend said this, my friend said that. Then you will know whether that friend is a good influence or a bad influence on your child. And those are very, very important. And over time, by the grace of God, we keep praying our children are taught of the Lord. We pray that they will gravitate towards people that are their helpers, that will lead them, that will help them to become better people, that will help them to know God more. And those are the kind of people they will be attracted to. But first of all, it's great that they see that as the example from home. And God will help all of us. I think this topic is a big topic. Sorry for going over time, but it's such a big, big topic. And from what Sister Ronke said, we might need to talk about the issues regarding sexuality and online things later, but they are very, very wide. Yeah, but we might need to discuss that at some point. Yeah, so thank you very much, our speakers. Thank you very much, our listeners. Thank you for being very patient with us till the end. God bless you. So we'll just round up the session now with our final words. I'm hoping we've all filled the feedback form. Please fill it if you haven't. Let's have feedback about how to make the meetings better. We are aiming to be better parents and have awesome children that are going to change the world. The world does need changing. Okay, so our final words that we end with are, can we unmute ourselves? Our next meeting is 4 p.m. next week. Thank you. Please invite a friend. I and the children God has given me. We are for signs and wonders.
For signs and wonders. Yes.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody.
Amen.